What's happening is Tim Walz wants to have one debate as late as he can, potentially after 50% of Minnesotans have voted, and you know that he's actually using you to put out his message that I want to debate. He doesn't want.
Looks like we lost that feed right there. You were just hearing from Dr. Scott Jensen, and we're going to continue to update you online on this ongoing election.
I think for many in the public, they don't quite realize just how much deception is really going on with the media.
You demonize, and then we call it the wrap-up smear.
You just have to flood a country's public square with enough raw sewage.
You smear somebody with falsehoods and all the rest, and then you merchandise it. And then you write it, and they'll say, see, it's reported in the press that this, and this, so they have that validation.
That citizens no longer know what to believe. Once they lose trust in their leaders, in mainstream media, in political institutions, in each other, in the possibility of truth, the game's won.
So that's why I really want the narratives to bubble up organically from the people in the case of the X system, which they do.
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities,
Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But
we are concerned about troubling, trending, irresponsible, one-sided news stories
plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 Just terrible government overreach. You're seeing it now in England where people are getting arrested for tweets.
We have some breaking news now, and a woman has been arrested by Cheshire Police in relation to an inaccurate information on social media.
Where's Jordan? What are they doing? Where's Jordan? Oh, the battery is! Battery is! Get him in! Get him in!
She says that I'm cool.
Being a keyboard warrior does not make you safe from the law.
That what we are witnessing a week on from the tragedies in Stockport have been largely sort of spread and propagated by people hiding anonymously on social media.
Cannot ignore how it's warping views, it's changing the norms and actually fanning racism and hate.
You can be guilty of offences of incitement.
Says a 55-year-old woman from near Chester was arrested on suspicion of publishing written material to stir up racial hatred and false communications. She is currently being held in police custody.
So I'm actually being arrested?
You're going to be arrested, OK?
Right.
Take you back to the police station.
Right.
You, OK? This is in relation to some comments that you've made on a Facebook page. Okay?
Oh, really? Oh, it's a Facebook crime, is it?
What you know about rolling down.
It is a stark reminder of the dangers of posting information on social media platforms without checking the accuracy. It's also a warning that we are all accountable for our actions.
We will throw the full force of the law at people. And whether you're in this country committing crimes on the streets or committing crimes from further afield online, we will come after you.
Misinformation on Twitter is not just a campaign issue, it's a America issue.
So that means shutting down X. It is X that is the reason why these riots are happening.
It's only a temporary measure in order to limit the spread of inflammatory information, misinformation as well.
What role does the White House or the president have in sort of stopping that or stopping the spread of that or sort of intervening in that?
There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
I think there's something like 4,000 people have been arrested in England for thought crimes, and I think it's only 200 in Russia.
This offence is so serious that an immediate custodial sentence is unavoidable.
That should send a very powerful message to anybody involved, either directly or online.
Sentence is one of 20 months imprisonment.
But the fact that they're comfortable with finding people who've said something that they disagree with and putting them in a fucking cage in England in 2024 is really wild.
Yeah.
Especially they're saying you can get arrested just for retweeting something.
So if you retweet that, then you're republishing that, and then potentially you're committing that offence. And we do have dedicated police officers who are scouring social media. Their job is to look for this material.
Here's the problem with that. Who's to decide what is a hateful thing?
People might think they're not doing anything harmful. They are, and the consequences will be visited upon them.
And we will come after those individuals just as we will physically confront on the street.
Ordinary men and women putting their pictures up on Twitter who frankly just looked like, you know, Bob and Jane next door.
Have we advanced the rules to keep up with how social media is now dominating our society?
But this started, actually, with a huge caucus of people concerned about uncontrolled immigration.
It didn't start with that. It started with lies and misinformation from people who seek division.
It both allows disinformation to be fueled so quickly and allows also the thugs to rally themselves.
I worry that people like you have swallowed your own narrative to the extent that for some reason you cannot see the wood from the trees. You have spent so long gaslighting us that problems we see happening in our society don't exist and that they are our fault, and you're doing it again. You are repeating that language and that narrative. When are you going to go into listening mode and understand actually that discontent comes from something? This is why we're not solving the problem, Tim, because you can't talk to them. You cannot explain to them that there are people in this country who are really upset with the way society is without him turning around and saying that somehow I am condoning or inciting the violence happening.
My name is Jade. I am a former Democrat. Hello. And I'm a former Democrat who is currently registered Republican.
I am fed up with the Democratic Party.
I'm doing worse under this administration than in Donald Trump's administration, but I'm told to be afraid of a man who made my life better.
That's not how you're going to connect with me as a voter. Can you please fix inflation?
You guys must think that we are all stupid. How else can you account for this inartful, clumsy gaslighting to which you are subjecting us?
Kamala Harris. So when I cook my Sunday dinners, there's a recession! Hello?
I have been dismayed at the things that Democrats have been telling the public for these past few years that frankly makes no sense to me, especially the dictator talk.
I'm so tired of being told I need to be afraid. I'm so tired that I need to be told all the time that I have to vote for the Democrats who have done nothing positive for my life.
Oh, Trump is a threat to democracy, a danger to the republic. Members of mainstream media saying that this election might be our last, that Trump will never leave office if he is elected. Are you guys serious?
Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record.
Name one thing that Kamala has done in office that you liked.
I'm losing my thought. Sorry. Help.
Can I phone a friend?
I can't really give you an answer to that question.
The coconut tree meme.
She took her time.
She put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor.
Costs are high, border crossings are high, inflation is high, crime is high. What is Kamala's plan for the future?
She wants to bring that all lower.
How's she going to do that?
I don't know.
Bottom line is, Senator Harris, when you are in a position to make a difference and an impact in these people's lives, you did not.
And I don't owe the Democrats anything. They owe me. They're to serve us. They're public servants. Stop putting them on a pedestal. Make them work for us. Let's vote for Donald Trump so we can all be prosperous again. Let's get out of this fear, this rage, and this anger because it comes from the devil. So hear me, black folks. Hear me, white folks. We are so much more alike than we are different.
I used to hate Donald Trump. Hate Donald Trump. I was a hardcore Democrat leftist. And now I'm on the other end of it, having learned some things, having opened my eyes, having letting go of the media lies that I was told about Donald Trump. And I think a lot of other people are going down that same rabbit hole.
Georgia owes President Donald J. Trump an apology. President Trump has been indicted by Fulton County. May I remind you that Fulton County has been found to be in violation of election law, not once for the hand audit, but twice for the machine count. And now we can prove that they had intentional human intervention, which is the predicate for election fraud.
I knew what I was doing in the whole thing, not just that shit.
And what was that?
That Donald Trump would never set foot in the White House again.
They want to kick it to Congress, so it's going to be up to us on January 6, 2025, to tell the rampaging Trump mobs that he's disqualified, and then we need bodyguards for everybody in Civil War conditions.
In 1943, the following directive was issued from party headquarters to all communists in the United States. It read, "When certain obstructionists become too irritating, label them after suitable build-ups as fascist or Nazi or anti-Semitic, and use the prestige of anti-fascist and tolerance organizations to discredit them. In the public mind, constantly associate those who oppose us with those names which already have a bad smell. The association will, after enough repetition, become fact in the public mind."
The troubling part about all this is it's not even people who we vote for. When you look at what happened when President Biden had that infamous debate with President Trump, it exposed the reality that many of us have known for a long time, which is that President Biden has not been the guy calling the shots.
This is the key to understanding what's happened in America. On behalf of the FBI, I bribed Hillary Clinton $18 million. They told me, this is word for word, Patrick, what's really going on is this. President Obama has his people across the federal bureaucracy at this point, but especially the Department of Justice. Hillary Clinton is going to be president for 8 years and nothing's going to change that. But think of there being a Bunsen burner within the Department of Justice. That evidence about the 2 bribes you were part of gathering is going to be sitting on the Bunsen burner. And the hand on the Bunsen burner is going to be one of Barack Obama's people. If Hillary's a good girl and defends Obamacare, that flame stays low. If she's a bad girl and thinks for herself, it's going to get turned up high. That way, Barack Obama is going to manage Hillary Clinton for the 8 years she's president, and then she's going to step down, and Michelle's going to run. And Patrick, that's the plan.
He's not been the guy making the decisions, nor has it been Kamala Harris, for that matter, nor will it be if she is elected president. It is this cabal of the Democrat elite, the woke warmongers made up of the likes of Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and, Tony Blinken and Jake Sullivan and, people who are in the military-industrial complex, people who profit from us being in a constant state of war.
The goal is to use Afghanistan to wash money out of the tax bases of the United States, out of the tax bases of European countries, through Afghanistan and back into the hands of a transnational security elite. That is the goal. I.e., the goal is to have an endless war, not a successful war.
It is their friends and billionaires and people in media who all derive their power from being able to have a figurehead that essentially they can control.
What exactly did Tulsi Gabbard do to get added to the terror watch list? It came the day after she criticized the Biden administration right here on The Angle.
Our foreign policy decisions are being made by unelected people in the military-industrial complex who are profiting from us being in a constant state of war, and the national security state that has more power to undermine our freedoms and liberties when we are in a state of war.
And now you're being surveilled. I mean, it's a form of surveillance or hassling and intrusion upon your freedom to move by the government. What is this?
Laura, this is a clear act of political retaliation. There's no other way to put it. You laid out the sequence of events the very next day after my conversation with you on the air, warning the American people about how dangerous a Kamala Harris presidency would be. I was placed on this domestic terror watch list, which is called the Quiet Skies list under the Department of Homeland Security. It sends a warning both to me and to anyone else who even thinks about daring to criticize our own government, which is a guaranteed protected right under the First Amendment.
This is literally like the Soviet Union, China today, North Korea, any totalitarian regime. But Donald Trump's a totalitarian, right? He's the dictator in waiting. Okay.
I would not be surprised to know that there are other government agencies who are also being weaponized against political opponents, those who dare to challenge this regime, the Biden-Harris administration. And that's really what it comes down to and why they have to be stopped.
You're attacking the Matrix at that point. The Matrix will fight back.
It's very difficult to become rich and famous in the world today without being gatekept. If you're on a sports team, you're gatekept by your sports team. If you say something you're not supposed to say, you're off the team. If you're in Hollywood and you say something you're not supposed to say, you're not in movies anymore. If you're on YouTube and you say something you're not supposed to say, they kick you off of YouTube. So you have these gatekeepers, and these gatekeepers basically offer you fame in return for not having certain opinions on certain subjects or not mentioning certain subjects at all. And the only reason they're famous is because they're propagated and pushed to the front by these platforms in the first place. If you are well known without being gatekept, they'll come along and they offer you money initially. They say, listen, we're going to pay you $55 million. You're going to be more famous than ever before. You're going to get more views than ever before. Plus, we'll give you this guaranteed amount of money. But to make sure we don't rock the boat, you have to have official opinions on XYZ or not mention XYZ. If you say no to the money, which bothers them a lot, it becomes a protection racket. We have the best PR teams, the best lawyers. In case anything happens, Andrew, we want to make sure that your reputation isn't damaged. Not only do you get money, you get public relations and legal protections. You say, no, I don't need these things. I'm not doing anything wrong. It's fine. I can hire my own lawyer and I'll handle my own PR. They say, no, you don't understand. We have the best PR teams that are in links with the media, and we have the best lawyers. They try and get through to you that if you don't use that PR team for favor, that PR team will turn on you and attack you in the media. If you do not use that legal team for favor, that legal team will do its best to try and drum up charges against you wherever you manage to lay down your head at night. Once they understand that you're not afraid of them and you've declined the money, you've declined the PR, you've declined the legal assistance, that's when trouble starts to appear. That's when the mainstream media starts to attack you in perfect synchronicity. I go to sleep and I wake up one morning and every single media outlet in the world, globally, from India to America, has the same story the same day. Bam. If you look at somebody the media hates, their soul's not sold. If you look at somebody the media loves, their soul is sold. It works that way.